Caught my fiance cheating with my sister? Here's how I got revenge. Family's supposed to have your back, right? They're supposed to be the people who will always stand by you no matter what happens. But when your world shatters and you realize your own family is the one tearing you apart from the inside out, that's when you realize family is nothing more than a lie. A beautiful, comforting lie that keeps you believing everything will be okay, when in reality, they're the very ones stabbing you in the back. I'm Alex, the black sheep of the family, the one who could never live up to my parents' absurd expectations. I could never do anything right in their eyes. And then there's my sister, Sophia, the golden child, the one who could walk into a room, flip someone off, and still be hailed as a role model by our parents. It didn't matter what she did. She could literally get away with murder if she had the right smile on her face. And then there was Emily, my fiancée, my best friend, the woman I was planning to spend the rest of my life with, the one who made everything seem possible, who made me feel like I could trust her with every single part of me, or so I thought. 6 months before our wedding, everything should have been perfect. The planning was in full swing, and we were deep in the details. Flowers, cake flavors, guest lists, choosing whether to have a slow, romantic first dance or a wild one to break the ice. We were laughing, arguing over trivial things, the usual couple drama that everyone experiences. But in the back of my mind, something was always off. There was an undercurrent of tension, an odd feeling that I couldn't shake. And that tension, that gut feeling, was trying to warn me. I just didn't know it yet. Sophia, too, was planning her own wedding. We had finally reached a point where we weren't at each other's throats, bickering like we always did. I had a small, fleeting hope that maybe we had finally grown past all the childish sibling rivalry. Maybe, just maybe, we could be something closer than enemies. But little did I know that hope was about to be crushed in the most devastating way imaginable. It started off so simple. One evening, Emily told me she was going out with Sophia for a girls' night. I didn't think much of it. It wasn't like they were strangers. Sophia and Emily had been friends long before I'd even met her. But something gnawed at me. Something about it felt off. Maybe I was just being paranoid. It wasn't like Emily had ever given me a reason to distrust her. She had always been loyal, always been that rock I leaned on. But that night, something changed. I came home earlier than usual. My workday had been longer than expected, and I needed a break. But when I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something that made my heart stop. It was Sophia's car, parked right outside. It was late, way later than it should have been for her to still be here. Why was she at my house? Why was she here with Emily? The wheels started turning in my head, but I pushed the thoughts away. I had no reason to doubt them, or so I thought. I walked inside, but something in the air felt different. It was thick, heavy, like something was brewing, like something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The house was quieter than usual. The dim lights, the faint scent of wine and expensive candles drifting in the air. It was all too much. Something about it made my stomach twist in a way that I couldn't explain. It didn't sit right with me. Then I heard it, the sound of laughter. Not just any laughter, giggling. It was so damn innocent, so carefree, and yet it sounded wrong. Office. Like it didn't belong in the house I'd spent countless nights in, the house that was supposed to feel like home. This wasn't a normal night. Something was wrong. I crept down the hallway, each step measured, trying to be quiet. But the further I went, the more the laughter consumed me. It wasn't just Emily's voice. It wasn't just Sophia. It was both of them, laughing, whispering, their voices growing louder, their tone way too familiar. And then I heard it. A kiss. My heart dropped into my stomach. The sound of their lips meeting echoed in my ears. My legs froze. I couldn't move. I was trapped in the horror of what I had just heard. Every part of my body screamed at me to turn around, to leave, to run, but my feet were rooted to the ground. My mind was racing, but I couldn't process what was happening. Was this really happening? Was this my life right now? My fiancée, my sister, together. I stepped around the corner, not sure what to expect, but everything I saw felt like a sick nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Emily and Sophia were sitting so close to each other on the couch. their faces so close together that it made my stomach churn. Emily was the first to lean in, slowly, almost like she was savoring the moment, and then their lips touched. It felt like the world stopped. Time stood still. Every single emotion I had came crashing into me all at once. Hurt, betrayal, anger, confusion. But most of all, disbelief. How could this be real? This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't some random mistake. This was a betrayal that cut deeper than anything I had ever experienced in my life. I didn't know what to do. I stood there, frozen, my eyes locked on them. I couldn't even think straight. I couldn't comprehend what my brain was processing. Then, without even thinking, the words escaped my mouth. What the hell? The sound of my voice shattered the silence. Both of them jumped apart as if they had been caught doing something unforgivable. Emily's face drained of color, her eyes wide in shock. She stood up, but she couldn't look me in the eye. And then there was Sophia. She didn't look guilty. She didn't look ashamed. She just smirked at me, a cruel, smug look that made my blood boil in a way I didn't know was possible. Emily stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex, this isn't what it looks like. I could barely contain the rage that rose in me. Bullshit, I hissed. This is exactly what it looks like. Sophia shrugged, as if what had just happened was no big deal. Like it didn't matter. Like she hadn't just destroyed my life in front of my eyes. You weren't supposed to find out like this, she said, the smugness still dripping from her words. I couldn't control it anymore. My hands were shaking. My breath was coming in short, sharp bursts. I turned to Emily. How long? My voice was eerily calm, like I was about to explode at any second. Emily opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She was too terrified to speak. And then Sophia answered for her. 4 months. 4 months. 4 months of betrayal. 4 months of lies. 4 months of my life being ripped away without me knowing. The anger that bubbled up inside me was something I had never felt before. I wanted to punch the walls. I wanted to break everything in sight. But instead, I just turned around and walked out of that house. Emily's screams followed me as I left, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. My world had been torn apart in a single moment, and there was nothing left to say to either of them. Nothing could fix this. Nothing could make it right. I got into my car, my knuckles white as I gripped the steering wheel. I drove aimlessly through the streets, my mind spiraling, consumed by a mix of heartbreak and pure, unfiltered rage. It was like a storm had broken inside me, and I had no control over the destruction it was causing. I couldn't let them get away with it. No, this wasn't just about me being hurt. This was about revenge. They thought they could betray me and just walk away unscathed. They had no idea what was coming. My first stop? My parents' house. Sophia had always been their perfect little angel, the one who could do no wrong in their eyes. She was their golden child. I had always been the disappointment, the screw-up, but that didn't matter anymore. This question mark. This was something that couldn't be ignored. I stormed into their living room, where they sat casually drinking tea, completely unaware of the storm brewing. My mom barely looked up when I entered. Alex, what's with the attitude? She asked, her voice as indifferent as always. I couldn't help it. I laughed. It was a bitter, hollow laugh, filled with pain and anger. Oh, you're gonna love this one. I turned to my dad, who raised an eyebrow at me, still sipping his tea. Sophia's been sleeping with Emily for 4 months. For a moment, the room was silent. Then my mom scoffed. Don't be ridiculous. I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled out my phone, opening the voice memo app. I hit play. The words echoed through the room, and I watched as my parents' faces turned from confusion to disbelief. The silence in the room was suffocating. The recorded voices filled the room. Emily's soft whispers, Sophia's unmistakable laugh, and then the kiss. My father's teacup slipped from his fingers, shattering on the floor. My mother's face twisted in horror, her denial caught in her throat. For once in my life, they had no words. You were saying? I asked, my voice laced with bitter satisfaction. My mother opened her mouth, but no sound came out. My father's jaw tightened, his hands balling into fists. Sophia had always been their perfect daughter, but even they couldn't ignore this. Sophia stormed in not long after, her eyes blazing with anger. "You recorded us? Are you serious, Alex? You're such a child." I shrugged. "Call it insurance." She scoffed, crossing her arms. "You're just mad because Emily didn't want you anymore." That was it. That was the moment I knew there was no saving anything. No family, no sibling bond. Whatever connection we once had, whatever shred of goodwill I had left for her, it was gone. I turned to my parents. "I'm done with this family. You can have her. Enjoy your golden child."